right. What's up? So here we go. Talking about speed picking again today. Now, the reason I'm harping on this lately so much is just because there's just a few things that people don't talk about that I wish they would say and kind of come clean and admit to. And I think it causes a lot of problems, and unfortunately, I think in a lot of instances, it causes a lot of injuries. And yeah, I've seen people who like got all excited and tried to play for like 4 hours in one day and then couldn't play for the rest of their lives. So take to heart what I'm saying. Ultimately, the pick does not matter when it comes to speed picking or whatever. What the pick really does is change the tone. Now, in some designs, it's a little easier to get across the string, but I just want to demonstrate this by showing y'all. I'm sure we got a regular pick somewhere. But, yeah, here's this. I've got a 4.2 millimeter Dunlop flow pick. Here is a D'Addario nylon. Here is a Dunlop Ultex Jazz 3. Here is a Sick Pick D55. Now, if you can tell me the difference between those by hearing that, I'll be very impressed. I'll take you to one step further. Here is a 1.14. Just I really hate these things, but it's a regular guitar pick. So, point being here, one, it's all in the technique. What the pick is going to do is change the tone. It's not going to make you play any faster. It's not going to make you play any cleaner or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. All right. So one more time, we went through what? I can go through a bunch of different picks here. So, and I love gimmicky stuff too. And here is the, what is this thing? The stealth pick. We've all seen this on Facebook. Again, so that's the stealth pick. Here is a regular guitar pick with the rounded head and everything else. The only thing that's really going to change is just the tone. Like it's what's brighter. In some of these, I wouldn't even attempt to play off of. So right now, I'm doing everything on the neck pickup, and there's a very good reason for that, right? Let me go ahead down to the bridge pickup here. Tell me what you hear. I call that pick tripping, right? So the harder the pick, the more sharper it is. That's where you kind of start to run into these problems. That's what's really sort of excellent about those nylon pros from D'Addario. You can hear it's just going to be way less. That's kind of why I float to the extra large Jazz 3 Ultex, because even the Sick Picks will do that a little more than I want them to. So that's just kind of one of the drawbacks, and I wish people would talk about this a little bit more. So a lot of shredding, especially for the guys who are using the really hard and stiff Jazz 3s. The other one that I would suggest, actually, before I jump into that, is those black ice. These things are really quiet too. The Durlin, any Durlin, compared to this. All right, crazy to think about. So that's really all the biggest differences that you need in picks. That's where the real, like, one's not gonna make you play faster than the other or anything like that. Now, So sometimes I will practice the single string thing. I'll pick a scale to like Lydia. I don't do that a whole lot, but that's one way to develop it. But getting more down to it, you're going to run into a couple of different problems when it comes to speed picking. And everybody talks about the following, you know, the inside picking or the leaving and jumping the string. And really, I think they make much too big a deal out of it. It's very rare that like the inside picking is going to screw you over in certain situations. It's such a silly way to look at things. You just kind of plow right through it and don't care. That's really the trick. Is if you start, it's kind of like, and I'm gonna use this analogy a couple of times. Bear with me here. I grew up playing baseball in home office. Still love baseball. And if you think about trying to hit a baseball, everything is involved in swinging the bat, taking the step, watching the ball. Everything. If you just think about it, you're not going to do it. Same thing here. If I think about all the mechanics that are involved with that, am I string skipping, or if I'm like, which is it, crossing the strings and down and blah blah blah, this and that, it wouldn't happen. I just do it. And this is the most annoying thing that I've ever probably told students. Is that when it comes to speed picking and you come to these patterns, whether you start on an up or down, you just have to will it. Whether you start on an up or a downstroke, you just have to will it. And I know it's annoying. At some point in time, you really just can't think about it. It turns into all, and I hate this, it's not muscle memory, by the way. It's what I call twitch memory. So when it comes to speed picking, there's your twitch mechanisms are on. Those little things where like you're tapping on your desk, or you can't sit still. You've had too much meth, too much coffee, whatever. You know, you're jittery. It's that weird muscle. That's the motor that's going. So you kind of learn how to hone that twitch thing. And so I was one of those annoying kids who couldn't sit still. And I was constantly tapping on my desk and just shaking, always shaking. You know? So I mean, but I learned how to control it. And that's why I talk about when I do the ulnar picking and when it's really, really fast and it's basically the wrist motion of opening a door. That's where the really fast step comes from. Using that picking style, the hardest thing to do is like a one note on a string. You usually have to bring in the scalpel. But I mean, when I get into that ulnar thing and you start burning 16th note wise, that can only happen for me about 175, 180 on to where I crap out right at 210, depending on the pattern. So it's you know, what I'm getting into is like when it gets into really fast kind of unmetered stuff that you hear Johnson do, you hear Ingve and these guys do, they're just going as fast as they can and as clean as they can because it's like a twitch memory thing. So I don't think I started shredding lower tempos until I really got into it like later down the road and realized, oh, thanks. Playing in those in-between tempos is the really difficult thing for me, kind of that Baroque motor of where it's just like constantly 16 notes. And that's really the one thing I try and work on. And that comes from a couple of different places, what I call the scalpel picking, where you're kind of pulling like this, the Eric Johnson-y thing. Sometimes a little bit of the wrist. Everybody knows that motion. You know, not so much this much, but a little bit from the elbow and a little bit from the shoulder. All those things. And I'm big on ornamentation. So what a lot of people hear is speed picking, and what they think is shredding is actually just ornamentation. That means you're doing trills in and out of notes. So the line might go like this. So in my mind, it's the music, the way I would write this out would look kind of like that, but I would put little trills, like or a turnaround on that. And I've always been very good at timing those just like naturally. So that I will a natural skill, but I did work at it. And those kind of ornamentations. So you have to be careful. A lot of times people, what they mistake as being like muted. can often sound like pick notes as well. So that's a big one to keep on tuning. And again, you just don't, I mean, I know that people are trying to sell their tutorials and all that stuff, but I wish they would tell you that it's a Twitch thing. Like, and it comes in, there's like in between tempos. So I say that usually the hardest tempos are for me kind of the in between tempos when in terms of playing 16th notes. But another thing is I want to make sure I can see my hands. All these patterns I am kind of making up on the spot. I've just been doing that for a long, long time. The one thing I really don't do is a lot of the what I mean by that is kind of where there's a lot of like 2, 3, 2 type patterns or something like that. It's usually pretty even and just feels pretty good for me. And yeah, I don't know. And it always sounds cool in the music. That's really the whole idea. Is it just sounds like cool. This is a good example. And that's where having a good amount of compression on your guitar helps. Now, when it comes to muting, yeah, I'm doing the best I can to mute with my palm here and the heel of my hand. It's coming right off the bridge. Never really leaves that area. A lot of the times, when I'm down on these notes, I'm actually bracing myself with these 2 fingers here. And there's a really, you can see this on my Ibanez. This little divot here where there's like plain wood. That's actually where my fingers have scraped on from like shredding so much that it's taken off the veneer there, and you just get the clear coat on the wood. And there's something like that here, and before long the varnish will definitely go. So you can see that I'm actually bracing myself with these fingers here. I'm not off the guitar, and I do that so it helps me mute. It helps me follow the contour of the strings. Without that, it would be very difficult to guide and then mute. The mechanics of it doesn't quite work with my hands. So yeah, and it really is typically these 2 fingers sitting here on this guitar. And you can see on my old Ibanez, there's actually a 2-channel groove. For some reason, this one just has the one. I'm not. So yeah, most of that, it doesn't. It's hard. It doesn't look like it too much, but yeah, that's mostly ulnar. It's coming from this rotational, and I'm just bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down, ever so slightly. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So that's the secret to speed picking there. I wish what people would talk about more. That twitch muscle. Learning how to do that for an extended amount of time and then just relaxing while doing it. No tension. No touching. No tension. And that, cracking the code, pulling back the veil of the mystery that is the heel of the hand, that's where the muting happens, and then the pads of the fingers. So you can see how this finger is touching that string. It's kind of sloppy, but that's definitely what. It's always going to be touching ever so slightly, helping me mute. So you use both hands to mute, left and right. And even the finger you're fretting with, that's what it's. So I hit that note, and you can see my index finger is actually sort of slightly muting that string. And that's an easy trick to do, by the way. So all I'm doing is just hitting the harmonics. It almost makes it sound like a flanger. It's pretty cool. And do I start everything on a upstroke? No, or a downstroke? It just depends. And I do use economy picking, but today we're just talking about speed picking. So when it comes into, you start doing the ulnar stuff, really the first goal is to get it to where it's almost like you're just rounding it on the strings. If I were to kind of slow down that motion, it's almost like the pick never leaves the string. And you just want to work on making that as small as possible. And then another thing that you have to kind of work on and keep in mind is that it's much harder to get good tone on the wound string, especially the E strings. And it almost takes a little more force than it does. So it's just one of these things. That's why I do most of my warm-ups on the E string. It makes everything else a breeze to get through. And so without having and that's the other thing, without having the heel of your hand on those strings and being able to control that, you can't actually control the articulation. Everything comes out either like dirty legato or like weird staccato. So learning to keep the heel in or learning to back off. It's a really good skill to know, but you'll notice that I get more staccato always down on the wound string. And I just can't help it. It's just with the natural ability of it. So that's how it's done. And at the end of the day, yeah, you get used to doing upstrokes and downstrokes, starting things on that, and like the actual doesn't really matter, you get unfazed by it, but you just have to practice it like that. Yeah, get used to just starting on upstrokes. It just feels different. So it even sounds slightly different to me too. So. The name of the game is just to stay relaxed. Stay relaxed. Never put any intention in your playing. Try not to force things. Otherwise, it's going to cut your playing career short, especially if you're older and you're just starting out. You can shred. There's no doubt about it. You can speed pick. I can teach anybody how to do it. But the thing is you have to work and warm up to it. Start at good, okay tempos. Start at 30-second chunks. Okay, you want to work to where you're like fatigued, but you don't want to be totally dead. And that way, it's not going to happen instantly either. I've been at this for a very, very long time, and so I'll be hitting my 29-year anniversary playing. No, actually, this is my 30-year anniversary is coming up in December for playing guitar. And that entire time, like I've been trying to do a lot of certain things. So there's not really going to be a lot of like instant gratification when it comes to play, but you can do it. It's just going to take time. Be safe. And then I think next time, tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the economy picking that I use and why I use it. And it's super helpful stuff if in certain situations. I wish I were better at economy picking and swagger picking and all of, but I'll get into what I also do. I'm a big believer in hybrid picking as well, but there's just certain things you can do with economy picking mixed with the alternate picking to make some really interesting sequences. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, if I remember to talk about it. But wow, let's see. Little stuff like that. Economy pick is really helpful. By the way, when you got these like 2-1 or 1-2 patterns that go. Some really interesting textures with it. So yeah, tomorrow economy picking, and then it's gonna be more of just talking about how I do it, but. All right, I'm out of here. Everybody have a really wonderful day. Always be excellent to each other and party on. Woo-hoo. I'm gonna stay on here. Excellent. Thank you, Twitch.